All right, I've had a little bit of time to sort of think about things. It's actually the next day for me. I think that the solution is just add more divs. This is something that I've told students in the past is when in doubt, let's try adding some more divs and see if it ends up helping out. And so what I mean by this, let's head over into our create account here. So we have our section, which is where we have our display flex. And then we're just having weirdness happen when we're trying to like take our inputs and add widths and other fun things. I'm thinking either I can add a div here between all of these or inside each of the other ones. We're gonna find out. So we're gonna play around with both. So if I do that, and then we have, okay, a section. I don't know if anything else needs to change. Let's find out. Uh, I need to open up my browser. There you go. And localhost. We're going to go to create account. That didn't seem to do anything for us. Let's see, here's our div, here's our section, and our other div. But now that we have this, let's play around with it a little bit. So we have our display flex, we have our justify content center, which is not doing anything at this point in time, and our flex direction column. Okay, so, and then down here, we have our width 75%. And also a width 100% here. Excuse me, sorry about that. Okay, so I want to come back up to this one. So we have our 75%. The big thing, if I remember, is that it's this flex direction column that causes a weirdness for us. And let's, if I put, okay, so if we do like our 75 view width here, hey, look at that. So we now have columns in centered. So we're going to put on this div, the 75 view width, the section, we're going to remove the flex direction column because that doesn't seem to work. And justify content center. Okay, so that's apparently what we're going to do. So flex direction column, we're removing from you. I want the first div right here to have that. Okay, so that section, and then the immediate child, which is a div. I want to have a width of 75 view width. And I believe we're going to remove the input of 75. And there we go. Okay, so excellent. Let's come back to our testing here. And you see this is working exactly as we expect. It is now complaining about being able to find a button with a data dash test equals submit. So this is actually going to be for actually submitting the data and creating the account. Okay, so that means we need to have a button atom here. I'm thinking it's just gonna be a pretty simple button. We can maybe change the how it's gonna look just a little bit. Maybe make it a little bit more flatter, similar to like our input, a little bit bigger too. So you prelude. We're going to use the stylist, but that doesn't have a prelude, so it should just be those two things. We are going to take in some kind of properties. So let's see, we're going to derive properties, clone partial equal for props. Okay, so things that we know we're going to need to take in. We know we need to take in that like data test. So data test, going to be a string. We also know that these need to be public. I need like the text for this. Like what is the label? So I'm going to just call this a label. That is required also. Anything else? I don't know right now. We'll probably have to do some other things later, like all the event handling stuff. We haven't been doing that yet, but that'll be coming up pretty shortly. All right, what do we want to do about our styles here? I don't know yet. Let's finish creating all of this. Okay, so we have our HTML, and we're just gonna put a button. We know we're gonna have that label in here, so that's gonna be the reference to the props dot label. We close you, and then we know we need that data test. So we're going to use data test equals props dot data test, and we'll clone you. Okay, so that should make you happy. We should then be able to come to our create account and pull that in. And actually pull that in from these atoms here. So we're going to have new wrapper around you. And then this is going to be our BB button. BB button. And let's, okay, so we have those two divs. I want to then pull this out into like maybe another div down here. Okay, so we have a label. This is going to be probably just create account. Our data test is going to be submit, I think. Yeah, did test submit. Let's see how this looks. Well, that's not exactly what we were expecting. Let's try putting that in there. Okay, there it is. That's nice. So I don't need these divs. Okay, so we have our BB button. We need to make this a little bit better. To make it not look so buttony. Ironic to sort of like think that that's the first thing we do with buttons. Okay, so we're gonna do a class equals style sheet. Okay, so what do I want to do inside of here? Uh, to make this, like we can make it, we can give it a width of maybe 100%. That'll bring that all the way across there. We can give our font size of, what are we going with? Did we put that into index? We did not put that into index. We put that into some of our other things, didn't we? 36, it looks like. Okay. I mean, this is not too bad. We get a little bit of interesting sort of like hover effects with this, but it's also a gray button. And I personally don't like gray buttons. It's also got like it's really close to everything else. I want this to have a little bit of a margin all around it. So we're going to do a margin of maybe, let's try something like 10 pixels all around. Um, Now that shows off from a little bit of the left, and it's not matching right. Let's do like up and down, which it starts at, so it'll be 10 0. That feels a little bit better. I would love to color this something. In this specific instance, let's just say that your background color is going to be, I don't know, like a light green. Ooh, it didn't like that as the color choice, did it? Yeah, it doesn't like the color there. Let's try something else. Background color. What are you upset about? Invalid property name. Okay, so I can't do a. Did I misspell it? Background color. Oh yeah, I must have misspelled it. Okay, something that looks decently good on the screen. We could choose this like aquamarine. It's sort of greenish. It's a little bit of blue in there, but it's not super bright compared to the black background. Let's do aquamarine. So background color. What's the difference here? Oh, it's dash, not underscore. I'm so used to doing underscore for Rust stuff. Okay, there we go. Aquamarine. So that will set you. Let's go ahead and save. Okay, and then when I click down, it hits this thing. Okay, so this should be fine. Now I'm gonna want this to be a form at this point in time. So that way, like when we actually click it, something happens. Um, does it really need to be a form? Like I guess it. Well, we want the submit event so that you can press return on password. I don't know if we're checking for that in the test or not, but let's see. So this should now be able to get that. Let's go ahead and restart. So what's happening here is it gets, we visit / create account, we get the submit button. So we type in the two things which are working. We get the submit button. We click it, and then it's looking for two links, and it wants them to not exist, which does in fact they do not exist, which is good, but that means we don't have links in the nav bar for this. And it's also looking for a welcome. So we should add those in to the landing page. Looks like we missed a test for those, and we can make sure that those are going away. That'll make it a little bit easier for us to sort of like hang out here too. So let's add in. What does do? Let's see what Docker PS. Today it is 63874. That's what they look like. So links that kind of sort of look like buttons. All right, so we have a BB link. I'm okay. We can just change this around, and basically it'll be could be a different style sheet depending upon if it's a link or a button. I think that would work out for us. So let's do like a type. So we'll do a pub enum. And this is going to be like a button, a link type. And so we have like a normal link, and we have a button as our choices. You're going to have to derive clone and partial equal. Okay, so let's do a. We can do a link type. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do an option for this one. So our link type is going to be an option that holds a link type. But to make it so that you don't have to put this in, by default, it's just going to be the link. We're going to import default for this. Okay, so for function default, we are going to return a self link. And so right when we start up here, we can figure out what our link type is. So that's going to be our props, link type, unwrap, or default. So either it's going to be, we're explicitly stating what it's going to be, or it's going to be a link. Can't move out of it, so we can clone you here. Okay, and so now that we have that, we can. There's a couple of things we can do. We can. We could return HTML here. I think that this data test and this span is perfectly fine. I think this link is going to be the only different one. Potentially, it's just going to be different style sheets that we need to do. So what if we create another function here? This could be a private function because it's going to be only used inside of here. And we're going to choose style sheet. So we're going to take in the link type, which is a link type. We're going to create the style sheets and return that, which you are a style source. So I'm going to take the style sheet down here. And we're going to name this to you are a link style sheet. And then we're going to have another one, which is going to be a button style sheet. And then, okay, we're going to return a match on link type. So if your link type is link, then we're going to return the link style sheet. Otherwise, we are going to return the button style sheet. Cannot find that macro. So let's import that CSS. Let's import you. Oh, you don't like this. Consider using the static lifetime. Yew.rs. Interesting. Okay, so it wants this to be static, huh? There we have that. Okay, then we're gonna get our style sheet from this. We can just directly call this. That makes this like really big here. Just gonna move this down here. Let our style sheet equals, this is gonna be our choose style sheet and pass it in the link type. Okay, so far that's happy, and everything should actually still look the same. I don't know if do I have any links right now? I guess like this is the only link, and it looks just normal, I guess. Okay, that's fine. Then we want this to be a button type. I'm okay with also using the same color as we're using with the button. So that's the aquamarine color. So for you, I want you to be, color black is going to be fine for the text. I want text decoration, none. That font size can be the 36 for right now. I don't know if we're going to want to change this around for this type. We're going to want a background color of aquamarine. Probably going to want a little bit of padding or something else like that. Let's go ahead and see what this looks like. Oh, we're not using this at all. I want this. Okay, so in the nav bar. In the nav bar, we have our BB link. We're going to want to add one more in here. Well, it's actually just going to be another BB link. So BB link, we have our text. This is going to be, you have to be a string. Let's see, what do I want you to be? It's going to be create account. Create account. To owned. We're going to have the data test. You are looking for create dash account. Okay, so we have a route that we need to consider here also. Route is going to equal to a route create account. And then we have that link type. So link type is, we now to bring that in. Okay, so link type. You can actually tell me what you're going to be, but I believe it's just going to be button, right? Yeah, button. see what happens here in our. Okay, so it kind of works. We can maybe create ourselves a little bit of padding to make it look a little bit better. I'm also thinking we can make sure that the color is maybe a little bit nicer. So for you, I want to give us a padding of maybe like 3 pixels, not very much. I want a color of black. Could probably go a tiny bit bigger. Okay, so there is that. I see the stylist here. Text decoration, font size, background color. I'm not seeing color black. Oh, that's because we had a big error here. All right, what happened here? Failed to parse CSS due to at line 5, padding 3 pixels. Oh, forgot a colon. There we go. That looks a little bit better. I kind of also like the idea of rounding these corners a little bit. They look just a little bit sharp. I also might want to just take the font size down a tad. And we're gonna do a border radius of maybe like 3 pixels. That feels a lot better to me. Now, if I want this to appear on the right-hand side over here, we want, okay, so we have these 2 spans here. If in this section I do a display flex, and then I think it's justify content space between. That's what I want to do. Okay, so for this this section, which is going to be on navbar, and it's part of that style sheet right there. Okay. So display flex, justify content, space between. All right. Okay. So now when I click this, bam, we come here to create account. Excellent. Now what it's yelling at us about is after we create the account, it wants to take us back to slash here, and then tell like we want to see like a welcome and then like a name. So it actually shows here it should be like contain welcome and then the username in the place where these buttons are. And we're gonna want more buttons for like login. Okay, so that means this needs to be a form. So back to create account. Let's wrap everything here around a form. Now we get a refresh when we click the button, so that's fine. That does mean we need to handle that. So we need to start doing event type stuff. So on this form on submit, so we're gonna go ahead and create that here. So that I'm thinking about doing a use state to store the username and password internally for state for this component as everything just sort of gets updated. And then our B button can read that and on submit, we're going to do an actual request and maybe store that into like a Yew.rs, a Yew.rs store. So first of all, we're going to get our callback for the form to stop it from, well, refreshing. This is going to be our submit. I guess it's on submit. I don't remember what type of event that is, but REST Analyzer does a pretty good job at like figuring this out. And we're gonna throw you. So I want to put this on the form itself here. On submit. It's a focus event, and we found that we need to tell it specifically what it is, even though REST Analyzer knows it. REST Analyzer also has trouble without it. Also, the compiler just has trouble without it. So you're a focus event. And then we want to do an event dot prevent default. Okay, so no errors. Now if I click this, no refreshes. I should also be able to like hit return from any one of these form fields, and we should be good. Okay, so that's good. But for each one of these, I need to now store off the username and password into some kind of internal state up here. So let's do that next. We're gonna have a pub struct. I guess this is just gonna be our state. And we're gonna have username. You're gonna be a string, and a pub password. You're gonna be a string. We can have them set to like a default of empty strings. I think that'll be fine. Can't remember exactly what we need to derive this as. Let's find out as soon as we do our use state and set the default. So I actually want to do a default here just to sort of set that up. So let's try deriving a default. See if it lets us do that. So far, yes. And so far it's happy. Okay. And you a redundant closure. Oh, we could just replace this with a call to default. That's what Clippy is telling us. So we can just use that. Pass in default. It'll be called by use state when it runs. Okay. That gives us our state here, which means we can access that from inside of the callback. But we need to store things away first. So we need let on username, or maybe I'll call this username on change. It's a change event, which I think is just event. I think it's just event. We're gonna find out though. Okay, so we're gonna take. You put this right here first. So now this is gonna be a BB text input, so we're gonna have to pass this in, aren't we? So before I do this, actually, I want to start from like the very basic inwards. We're gonna go to our BB text input. Well, that wasn't. Where's our BB text input? Okay, here's our actual input. So we're gonna want an on change on here, and then to forward that, like to emit that up. So at that point, we're gonna say that we want some kind of callback to happen in here. So we're gonna put on change. This is some kind of callback, and we're gonna pass in a string back into it. Which does mean we need to handle that here. So on change. Okay, so it is just a plain old event. And then if we remember how to like get the actual get the target of it, we're gonna do let our value is gonna be, okay, so it's gonna be event. We're gonna get the target. Oh, not capital event. I want that event. Dot target. That gives us an option. So we're gonna unwrap that. That gives us an event target. So now I want to, we want to cast this, and I don't think we have the library for this, do we? Let's go look at the documentation really quickly. Yew.rs we have in, let's see, what is it? Oh yeah, it's here in events. Is it events? I think it is. We're going to use, is it JSCast? Yes, we're going to use wasm bindgen JSCast, and we're going to do our unchecked into. So we need wasm bindgen. And I believe that there's some, is there some features we need from this? I don't remember. We're going to find out. So you're apparently upset. Let's go find out what we need to get from cargo or crates. Wasm bindgen. I want you, and it's 0 to 80. And we'll go ahead and let Rust Analyzer figure this out for a second. Now this is interesting. It's actually saying that 0279 is the latest version. 0280 doesn't exist. That's interesting. I'm curious whether or not Rust Analyzer is going to be happy with this. You are saying that 0280 is the latest version here. So I guess my extension here is not getting, it's not understanding the latest, or something else is going on. However, this says you're happy. We have errors here now though. And also our create account is upset because we're requiring this on-change callback and we're not passing that in yet. We'll deal with that later. Okay, so we're gonna do an unchecked into, and we need to now tell it exactly what it is. So we want this to be an HTML. Ooh, it can't find it. So, okay, we need you. If we want to pull in an HTML input event, it's going to be from this web sys. Okay. Let's go find web sys and make sure. Let's see, so we're going to bring in that. I want to make sure in the documentation there's no features that we need for that, which I kind of feel that there is. So if we go for like an HTML input, There we go. Yes. Okay. The following features need to be activated. This HTML input element. Okay. So we're going to, couple things here. That. Grab you and throw that in there. Okay, so now we should be able to tell it, I want this to be an HTML input element back inside of here. I do have to wait for Rust Analyzer to finish its thing. Okay, it's starting to figure this out. So let's see if this works. HTML input element, excellent. I want you to come into that. Now I'm gonna wait for it to like figure out what the result of this is gonna be. I think it's unchecked, so it's not gonna be a result. It's gonna panic if it doesn't exist. Oh, but now it's upset. I think expected semicolon. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now we have our HTML input element. So then I want a value, which is now our string. Okay, so we have that. I now want to take our unchanged callback here. This is inside of this callback, so I want to move that into here. And then we're going to emit out. So that's going to be our so this is not great. I have onChange here and then onChange here. So I shadowed it and lost it. That's not great. Let's change the name. I kind of like that here. So let's do onChange like button onChange. Or handle onChange. I like that a little bit more. Okay, so then we're going to do onChange equals, throw you in there, handle onChange. Then now I can do onChange. Oh, or that's not, never mind. Wait a second. I don't need to do that. I'm not shadowing it because this isn't a prop, so it's props.onChange. Okay, never mind. I don't know what I was thinking. This is fine to be just onChange. Because it's not shadowing, it's can just undo. They're not exactly the same. This is just in the root of this function, we have onChange, and then this is inside of the struct props, we have an onChange. Two things named onChange, but not in the same level. So here, I do want, let's see. Can I do props.onChange.emit this value? And you're going to be upset because okay, so it's required to live as long as static here. Do I need to do do I need to like clone it out first before I bring out onChange? I kind of wonder if I need to do that. Like not clone props. No, it doesn't like that. Props has an on splash time. So I don't want to move props in, unfortunately. Or fortunately, I don't know. So let's try this. We're gonna do the entire little trick here, where I'm going to clone off the other onChange, and then we're gonna move that. We're gonna move that in. So we're gonna say let handle it's like we're gonna emit onChange, and that's going to be our props dot on change. So I want to take that out here. There we go. Okay, so now this, we're going to emit out. So I don't know what like the best thing to call this is. Emit on change is what I'm going with right now. If it makes sense for something else, I'll change that. I'm not calling it on change right here because I think that'll get a little bit confusing. Even though it kind of what it is, it's like the parent, it's like to emit to the parent. I don't emit is like a little bit weird too. That's too bad. But okay, so now in create account, we can create a an on change for this button. So this is let username on change. We're going to create a callback from we're going to get the user. We're going to get the username, which we know is a type string. And then we could just log it to begin with. It's been a while since we've run this code, so let's try that out. So I want to do a log. Oh, I don't have glue. I need glue. So let's pull that into cargo.toml. All right, while we're waiting for that to work, we'll just sort of continue writing this. We're going to log the username. And then we're going to have this username on change, and we're going to put that down here for username. And I believe it's just on change now that we're handing in. So on change equals username on change. We can't actually test this because we need to do the exact same thing for password. So we're going to name you password on change. That should be the same thing here. REST analyzer is fine again. Maybe we can auto import log, possibly. Otherwise, I'll just bring it in manually. There it is, import log from glue console log. And now we have change equals password on change. Okay, so you're upset now. Props it on change. Okay, so cannot move out of here. I have a move. Can I? Doesn't implement copy. Okay, let's try clone. That makes you happy. Okay. Let's head back to here. And in our console, when I type username, so Brooks, that gets printed out. And our password gets printed out. Okay, perfect. So that is happening, which means we can come back to create account. We're going to want to now store the state inside of these once they're changed. So we're going to do this pattern where we say let state, so we copy state. So we clone you, and then we're going to move that in. So I'm going to say state dot set. Okay, so before we set, we're going to need our username and password. We can also set these as separate, can't we? We can have like just a username state and a password state instead of doing like a single struct for this. That could be good too. I hadn't thought of it until just right now. Because otherwise what I have to do is grab this out here. So like let like our data equals like a state dot deref, clone that, make this mutable. Yeah, I don't know how much I want to do that. We can do multiple use states. And then in that case, I don't even need this at all. We could then say I want username state. In this case, this is going to be a string default. And then I want this to be a password state. Okay. Now I have these two states here. On submit. Okay, so we're not worrying about this right now. We come down here. Okay, so username change. State is, this is going to be username state. We're going to clone that, bring it inside of here. So I'm just going to actually, for each of these, call this username state. I don't need to get you out anymore. Username state is now going to just set the value of username. And now we should be able to do the same exact thing here. So we're going to do let password state equals password state, clone that. We do our callback. We want to return the callback out of here. No, that thing is, okay. Yes, the callback gets returned. So I'm doing that correct. Let's see, then, okay, password state equals that, we do that, and then we'll say password state, nope, not that, password state, set password. No method name clone for the use handle and the current scope. Username state is a function. Oh, wait, I accidentally called it default here. I don't want to do that. There we go. Okay, that makes that happier. Password. I need to move this in. Okay, so that should now go inside of there. Oh, we don't actually need to clone this in, do we? Because we're only using it once right now. And then we want to do, I think, the same thing here. Now in this case, I need both of them. So let username state equals username state, clone you. And then at the very end, I'll just have all the warnings. We'll clean that all up at the end of the story to get rid of them all. Maybe we'll have some extra clones we don't need. Okay, so I cloned both those. We're going to move them in here. We prevent default. Let's do a log now And we're just going to put, I want, essentially we want to dereference the username and the password state. And then what are you? You are, I cannot move out of the dereference. I mean, I guess we could clone you again. It doesn't feel like I should need to. Um, can I dereference you? Yeah, it looks like I can do that. Okay. So now when I enter in this, Brooks, I don't get a log. But then when I hit return, now we get that Brooks1234. Okay, excellent. Okay, so back to this. We want to actually do the call and log us in. So that's going to be, let's see, we're going to use what was that? It's under more external libraries. We're going to use Requasm. Okay, let Rust Analyzer figure this out. Oh, good. It's back to being a check mark for that. Okay, excellent. Now there's the if I remember correctly, we also are going to need the Wasm bindgen futures to create an asynchronous block that we can then do the requasm in. So we also need Wasm. Just search for Wasm bindgen, and there should be a futures in here somewhere, or maybe it's farther down. Futures. There it is. I'll grab you too. All right, so then let's see what's next. We're gonna do in our create account. We are logging this out right now. We want to actually send the request. So we're going to use that Wasm bindgen futures to spawn local. This takes a future, so we're going to have an async. We're also going to have to move. It's I don't think we have anything in there, and now that's going to be this block here. You're yelling at me because async. Oh, right. It's not like that. It's just literally a block. That's what it is. Okay. So this is gonna be our requasm. So we have our requasm. I want a. Oh, it's like requasm request. So it's request from requasm. We want this to be a post. Where is our URL coming from? Well, we can hard code this for right now, but we should probably do something like an environment variable soon. So we'll do a refactor. We'll do a red-green refactor for this. So HTTP / going to localhost 3000 API v1 users. And then we need to send a body. The body needs to be something that can be something that can be like it needs to be JSON stringified. Oh, which means we need those headers. So we need header for content type. That we need to do a real string, not characters. And you're going to be application JSON. Okay, so that should be good there, but then our body actually needs to be a stringified JSON, which means we need some kind of, well, actually, I think we can do just like a JSON and then to string that. So, oh, but I can't just do JSON right now because we need to pull in Serde and then Serde JSON. So Serde JSON. I'm going to pull in the latest of each of these. And let's see. As soon as the REST analyzer is done, we're going to use the JSON macro for this. That's going to allow us to just code in some JSON for us. Let's see if we can pull in the text that we want to do, which would be, this username and the password. Okay, so you're good. So now do JSON. I think JSON, do you take any string or stir? It's like here, code variable 200. Looks like it's exactly what you would expect it to be. It looks exactly like JSON at this point in time. So JSON, I'm gonna throw you in here. That's gonna be, we have username. Username is gonna be, so it's gonna be this dereferenced username state. So let's do a dereferenced username state. We're going to have password, which is a dereferenced password state. Let's see. Okay, so you're not satisfied yet, so we need to actually turn this into a string. So I believe we can take this JSON result here and then toString it. Okay, that makes you happy. We're still not in a future thing, so this is unhappy. So continuing on. Also, we don't want to return out of here. Okay, so now we want to send. After sending, we want to await. And then we're going to unwrap this. Let's get our result here. So that result equals. So this gives us a response, as it were. For this response, we're going to get JSON back. And the way we know, we can come back to our Thunder client. And we have the login for this. We can just sort of do a new request, post, localhost 3000, API v1, users, headers. That's going to be that content type, application JSON, and for the body, we're going to put username. It has to be something unique and new, so I'll just do something like that. And our password, let's give our wonderful strong password of 1234. If I send this, this is what we're getting back. So it's going to be this object with the data inside. So if I come back to here, we have a response. I want to get like the JSON out of it, which is great. but now we need to tell it what type this is going to be. So we do now need a struct for this. So pub struct. This is going to be and it's going to be like a two sort of like things here. We have the just a user response, like an auth response. And we're also going to have a pub struct. I guess it's just going to be like a user. The user, if we look back at this, has an ID, which is a number, a username, and a token. So you're going to have a pub ID, a U32, a username. You're going to be a string and a pub token, which is also going to be a string. They're all required for this. And then auth response is going to have a data, which is a user. For both of these, we want to derive, serialize, and deserialize. And so now we can say, okay, when we switch to JSON, I want your type to be that auth response. Then we'll go ahead and await you again because it's more features, and then unwrap you. Now we have our auth response here. And so finally we need to like just stuff this somewhere. But we might need to do that in the next section because I'm running a little bit out of time right now. Let's see, what are you upset about? Expection, implement fn once, not fn. Let's log out our result. So we're gonna do a log. We're gonna do result dot. I'm just gonna do each of these separately here. That's an auth response, which we see. Oh, is this data then dot ID? Okay. So result dot. Actually, it implements. We can do a. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a cert a JSON. To string. What are my choices? I want like a toString pretty. There we go, toString pretty, and I want the result. Oh, and then result I think is just a reference to that. It doesn't want to take ownership. Let's see, the trait bound wasn't bound to JS value. It's not satisfied. Is that not actually creating a string? I want it to be a string. Oh, it's a result. So we want to unwrap you. Unwrap you. Okay, and then here we have our callback event. Let's see. So I'm not returning anything from inside of here. So here's our spawn local on our callback. Oh no, I want that to go into on submit. Okay. So you're upset because expected closure implements fn trait. This closure only implements fn once. Closures fn once because it moves the variable username state out of its environment. Oh, so here's what's happening. We have two sort of like blocks that are happening here. When we're moving this, we have these username states here here. So I need to just right here, grab them, reshadow and clone them again, just to make sure they move into here and then move and not just do like a double move directly in. So essentially, I just want to take both of these lines, put you in there, and then we're good. No more errors. So let's just make sure we get that that console log going on. So we're gonna put in Brooks. I want to make sure this is a brand new user because I already have Brooks in there. So let's do that random one. I hit create account. Here we go. We get our username back. We get a token back. We get a new ID, and that's all wrapped in that data. Okay, so that's a lot here. We're still not done with the story yet because once that happens, it wants to take us back to the landing page, and then we want to have those buttons disappear. So we're gonna have to do that next time because I'm running out of time this morning where I'm coding this. And then that, let's see. We'll make the buttons disappear. Oh, I think we're going to refactor a bunch of this too, because I'm not super happy with having all of this logic of sending this in here. I think I want to create like an API module, and it's going to handle all like the sending and receiving and everything else for us. And maybe we can even create a create account. Well, no, I think we'll create like an API module, and we'll be able to call into that. We can send it the data. It'll handle all the stuff for us. It'll make it a little bit simpler. We also need to set up a the Yew.rs store to know that we're logged in. So, anyways, this is a lot. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye.